Way up north, north to Alaska. Way up north, north to Alaska. North to Alaska, go north for Russia's home. North to Alaska, go north for Russia's home.
Hello, and welcome to the second episode of North Cabin Fibercrafts. I'm your host Lori, and today's co-host is Chico the Chihuahua. He is 11 or 12 years old. He's a good little boy. Just an old man. As you may or may not be able to see, he's a little bit camera shy and a little self-conscious of his bum eye. But anyways, now let's get on with the show. Say, see you, Chico. And there he goes. So as I was saying, today is April 1st. I want to welcome everyone who's coming back. And I also want to welcome anyone who's new watching the show. Forgive my stutters. This is only my second episode, so I am still nervous. But let's get on with the show a little bit. To start things off is the wacky stuff that's happened lately. Is it was just Easter weekend, so we went up north to the cabin. Mind you, the cabin's very rustic. Outhouse, no running water, and propane heat, well, propane stove, wood heat. It was quite an adventure, let's say. We're down here in Lower Michigan, about 4 hours south of the cabin, and we don't have any snow here. It was a nice, warm, sunny day. We left on Thursday right after work. We got up north to well over probably 12 inches to the entrance of the properties. The properties there's several properties that have been subdivided, and John, of course, owns a piece of property that's, I'm not going to say it's a whole mile back, but it's a decent walk. So we get in there and we're plowing our way through with his 4x4 truck and getting stuck the entire way. We finally make it back almost to the cabin and to the driveway to the cabin and totally got stuck. Now it's time to walk. This means it's dark, very dark, and we get to carry all of our belongings in. John is over 6 foot tall. He takes huge, wide strides. I'm like 5'2". I take short strides. So I can't possibly follow in his footsteps without great struggle. Not to mention the fact that it had been fairly warm during the day, so nothing was refrozen, and we weren't able to walk upon the crust of snow or ice on top of the snow. So I was sinking knee deep almost every step all the way. I was exhausted by the time I got back there. It's pitch black. We had no flashlights or anything with us. I couldn't see at all. Thank goodness for the iPhone. I whipped mine out. I have the great little app on there that's a flashlight, and I was able to at least see the path John had made to get us back to the cabin. I will admit I did have a little pity party and just plopped everything down and just right in the snow. Regathered all my thoughts and efforts, and okay, we're not going to complain. We're just going to continue through with this. So we did. We get back there and open the cabin up, start a fire. John and Angus actually went back to get a few more things out of the truck, so we couldn't possibly carry it all, because we had planned on staying for a 4-day weekend. Everything there is much more work. With no running water means we melt snow. The front door of the cabin also is on the side of the house where the peaks come down like this. So all of the snow had fallen off the roof onto the front porch, and luckily the screen door was wedged open with the huge snowbank that was as tall as me. So we were still able to get in the front door. We had a really good time. It's nice, quiet, and relaxing. Everything is more work there. Melting snow for water, for dishes and whatnot, and we carry in our own drinking water. Bringing in all of our food stuff and clothing, supplies, and what have you. So we had a nice time. We always have a nice time. We got the truck stuck, as I said, and once we got in and got settled, got the cabin warm, it was time to go to sleep. Very relaxing night, just slept like a log, minus the logs that John had to get up and keep putting on the fire to keep us warm. But it was good. It was very good. So that was Thursday night. Friday we wake up and it's cook breakfast, melt snow for water, as I've said a couple of times now, and get breakfast going, do dishes and everything. And next thing you know it, half the day's gone. So we decided it's nice, bright, sunny, let's try and get the truck unstuck and at least get it out of the property near the paved road. That took a couple of hours of digging the truck out, backing it, moving it forward, back and forth, and finally we were able to just barrel our way out of there without getting stuck anymore. And we decided to go to the Pigeon River Forest, which is really close. It's kind of just down the road, you might say. We wanted to go for a walk and just go exploring and what have you, and that really didn't happen because the snow was so deep. So we just drove around and walked a couple of times. I found a big burl or knot on a tree, so I convinced John to stop and cut it down so we could bring it home and hopefully here in the future make a couple of orifice hooks from it. I think it would be really interesting wood or wood handle for orifice hooks. Be interesting. And so we did that, and when we got back we just parked at the well, actually before that we had stopped and got a sled because we knew we weren't driving the truck back anymore. We would need to carry all of our belongings out when it was time to come home. So we got a sled. We parked at the entrance and walked back. The walk wasn't too bad. You know, you do what you have to do when you're up north. So we had dinner and hung out and read some out of books, and I made a couple of dishcloths because I forgot to pack some to wash with. So we did that. And you know, that was pretty much the day on Friday. Saturday we went to the casino in Petoskey, which again means walking your way out. The previous day we had walked so much and run and played and carried on. Angus was so exhausted. Angus is my cane corso. He's about 125 to 135 pound, big lumpy bump of muscle. He's a really cool dog. He was exhausted. He was not going back with us, walking out and going for walks in Petoskey or anything like that, so he got to stay home. So we went to the casino. I think it's pronounced Ottawa. John likes to play poker. I don't play poker and I don't play slots. I can lose as much money playing slots as he can make in a couple of hours playing poker, so it would just be a wash. Generally speaking, he does fairly well. We leave either, you know, broke even or quite often ahead. So for him it's kind of like a second job. Woo, I got to make a couple extra bucks, and as it turned out he made enough that we were ahead and it paid for our whole trip, which is kind of costly with the cost of diesel and the huge truck that he has. So all in all it worked out good. I just hang out, I go shopping, putz around town, drive around, found Starbucks, got myself a nice Starbucks, sat back and relaxed and just knitted, listened to music, and then it was time to go into the casino because John's luck had just about run out. So I go in and I generally sit like right behind him at the poker table So I can watch everything that's going on. I can see his cards and how he's playing and things like that. And as luck would have it, I guess I am lucky for him in that he did fairly well. So then it's time to go home, which was, you know, uneventful until we parked at the entrance to the property and had to walk in. It's after midnight. It's dark, it's icy. Luckily, some of the snow had crusted, so we were able to stay up on top instead of sinking to my knees in snow. And we got back, got the fire going. Angus was very happy to see us. It was a very nice vacation. Let's see, what else did we do? I guess that's about it. As I said, I didn't have any dishcloths with me. I had thought ahead to bring some cotton. It's no-brainer knitting, and you can just knit away, and you know, as it ended up, I was able to use a couple of the cloths, one for washing ourselves in the big bowl or pan of water that you have to melt and heat on the stove, and the rest was for doing dishes, so it worked out. As for, let's see, that segment would have been called The Wacky, which is just basically the story of our life, what's happened recently, what's new, crazy stuff. So then we move on to The Wild, which I want to use to update adventure details on the Alaska project. I know a lot of you wanted me to interview John and get his take on the 3-year plan. For whatever reason, we were just too relaxed and never got around to it. Something came up, so we actually came home a day early. And I'll nail him down here yet. He's not, what's the right word? Oh, in other words, he'll do it. He just said, you just tell me when, and I'll be more than happy to talk about it. So maybe we can get him on here for episode number 3. I'd like to add a couple of pictures, either in this little section here or towards the end, of the pile of stuff we've accumulated in our bedroom. We have a couple cardboard boxes full that we're going to ship to Alaska ahead of time. We have some clothes, you know, just gathering supplies and whatnot, getting ready for this trip. It's getting close. I think we're only like 3 months out. I'm excited and I'm nervous, but it's going to be a experience of a lifetime. For Easter, I didn't get an Easter basket this year, but I did get a compass. And I think I got a machete too. Yeah. Enough said there. That's about it for the updates of the wild part. As for work, this part is going to be all about, the dyeing, the spinning, shop updates, things like that. So I'm going to just toss a couple things in here. I have a new fiber base. It's a DK weight, and the base is named Pebbles. It's an 85% superwash merino, 15% dongle. So it kind of looks like pebbles in the yarn. It's 231 yards, and I thought I would get a couple more colorways done on it, but as it turns out, I only did 2. I only did 2 skeins of it. They are right here, so let me just reach over and get them. The first one is I just named it a reddish purple semi-solid. As I said again, it's a DK weight, and as you can see here, there are a lot of little dongles in this yarn. It's a really nice reddish purple that's showing up a little bit bluer on the camera. And along with that, I did a complementary one. These are, again, in DK weight. This is called Violets in the Grass, and there's a lot of violet, green, white, reddish purple, and you know, the neps are all showing right there. So those were the two on the new base. I'll just toss those down there. Let's see, a couple other ones that I did was just on Base Camp, which is my worsted. I did Purple Pansy, and this one is before I reskeined it, and you could see all the big chunks of purple and yellow and white in here. And then I reskeined it here to show you this one, how it looks reskeined. There's a lot of purple and bright yellow and white in it. It's really pretty. Again, this is, oh, I'm sorry, this is not Base Camp. This is Iditarod, which is my 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, 450 yards of sock yarns. Along with that, I did a couple more of the Iditarod. This is the reddish purple. This here is called Fish in the River. You can't tell it here with the reskeined one, but you know, it's all kinds of like sea glass, blue, ocean blue, and yeah, I know I'm not going to the ocean, but it had a couple of breaks, but the breaks came out really interesting. They're kind of a reddish, brownish color right here, and when this is all just laid out, it just looks like, hey, you can see like fish bodies, you know, under the water surface. So I thought that was just a cute name to give it. So again, this is how it looks reskeined, and this is before I reskeined it. I did the reddish purple, as I said, and this one here is Feel the Teal. Again, it's on the Iditarod base, 450 yards of sock yarn. And I did a really nice teal. I didn't like just the plain teal. It wasn't enough for me. I wanted to do something else, so I overdyed it with a purple. The reddish purple came out very bluish purple. So it's almost that there's bits of navy, teal, and some reddish purple still in here. It's a really pretty color. For some of you that really liked the yellow, which was grapefruit marmalade, I did a few more of those. This one it's called Grapefruit Marmalade 2. It's darn near similar, although if you purchase the first one, I don't know that this would be an exact match for it. But again, it's just real pretty yellow, white, medium orange, and a little bit darker orange there. Again, this light makes everything very bright, doesn't it? One more is Going Green, and it has some yellowy green, dark green, pine green, and a moss kind of green in it. Just real pretty. So that's it for some of the sock yarns. I also did the Grapefruit Marmalade in a worsted. So I have a couple in the sock weight and then in the worsted, which is the Base Camp. It's 100% superwash merino, 260 yards. And it's the same colorway. I just did it on a worsted for those of you that may like to work with worsted weight. It is the only one. I've only did one of these. As for a little bit of fiber dyeing, I only dyed 2 fibers this time. This one, let me pull up the name again. I haven't made my ball band yet, so the colorway is called, I guess I just called it Camo Bits. To me it kind of reminds me a little bit of a camouflage color. There are bits of a yellowy tan, or an orangey tan I should say, some yellow, dark green, moss green, some tan in here. This is done on a Superwash BFL base. This is 4 ounces, and this is dyed on the oatmeal color, not on a white base. This here is done half and half. and I apologize for the poor braiding, but this is half and half. So together, held side by side, there is the oatmeal base and the white or cream base. This one is called Sun Through the Trees because there are bits of orange and yellow and white and green, and of course the dark oatmeal background takes the color a little bit different than the white, so you get a light and a dark. So there's much more tones involved in this one. This stuff spins up great. I spun one of, I think it was the electric purple. It was dyed the same way. I spun the white or cream base by itself. Then I spun the oatmeal on its own bobbin, plied both together, and I don't seem to have that one here with me. It just came out electrifying. It was bright green and purple, and Barbara pulled together. It came out very nice, and I don't think I put it up in the shop for sale, as I'm not sure if I'm going to actually knit something from it or put it up for sale. So that's about it for dyeing right now. One thing that I took to participate in is from Jinx on the Dyer's Notebook podcast and Ravelry group. She started a dye-along, and you upload a photo. If you signed up, you upload a photo, and all the participants upload a photo, and then she arbitrarily just gives you someone else's photo to use as your inspiration. There are more notes on her Ravelry group about how to do it. The picture I got was actually from Game of Thrones inspiration, and it seems to be right up my alley because there are a lot of browns and tans and deeper, darker colors and whatnot, so maybe I don't have to step so far out and do really bright stuff. I seem to be drawn towards darker browns, natural earth tones, things like that. So you can go check it out. I'm not sure if there's any more sign-ups available or not, but we're going to post like our progress photos and whatnot, and I do believe we get a prize at the end. I'm not sure how she's going to draw prizes, and maybe it's just going to be random. So that's something I signed up for. I thought it would be a nice challenge to step out and take better notes. You have to have good notes on how you arrived at your inspiration and the colors you used and why you used them and stuff like that. So I think that's a good challenge for myself as a dyer. The woolly is the next segment, and this is just going to be the segment that I talk about works in progress, things that I'm either knitting or spinning, stuff like that. So I don't know if any of you have kept up with me on, I'm not sure on my blog if I've posted it, but I know I'm very active in the High Fiber Diet podcast group. Have been for a long time. So the last 2 years, it's taken me 2 years to knit John one sock. He has a size 13 foot. Put this along the length of my arm, and he has one sock. Knit from the toe up. He has one sock. It took 2 years to finish. I did finish it this year. The one sock. I do have my second skein here. It is Knit Picks Essential, and the colorway is Dune Twist. I'm pretty sure you can't get this anymore. I'm sure it's discontinued. I've had this for a number of years in my stash, so I just thought this would make John a nice pair of socks someday. Some of us are going to the CJ Kopeck has a group, and it's Guts, Grits, and Pink Lipstick, I think. We're going to a retreat in May, and one of the knit-alongs was to do the Hitchhiker I found my ball band. I knit my hitchhiker on knit 1, crochet 2, tie-dye sock. This is it, and I did find my ball band. I used 1 whole skein. I never got into the second skein. And here it is. I just love it. I'm glad it's done. I've worn it to work a couple of times already now, and people are like, oh, you made that? Yeah, I made it. My other work in progress is from Lollipop Yarns. This colorway, it's the sock yarn, and this colorway is called Cabin Fever. So I'm doing these toe up. I love the self-striping, and I love these colors. I was so drawn to it. And of course, the color name. So these are 2 at a time, toe up. I'm going to try an afterthought heel, which is something I've never done before. And I probably have another inch or so to go to be able to put in my line or lifeline maybe of contrasting yarn, and then knit the rest of it and come back and do the afterthought heel. So that's the second one. This is another long process. I think I'm doing it more as the shawl, maybe the scarf, is the swirl shawl. And if I do it as just a glorified or large scarf, I'm close to being done, I would think. It's very squishy. It's done with the JoJo Land, and I believe the color might be Melody. And there's the ball band. I've had this also for a couple of years on the needles. It takes me on an average of 45 minutes to do each, is it a hexagon? That's why it's not like take to work knitting. I'm not there early enough in the morning to have 45 minutes to finish it, and it's really frustrating to stop somewhere in the middle without jotting down what row you're on and such. So this one, it's still on my way back burner. I really want to finish it though, because it's very pretty. And then the other thing I've been working on is the dishcloths. Grandma's Favorite, I believe it's called. I just looked it up on my iPhone when we were up north, and I didn't bring a pattern with me, so I thought, you know, they're so easy and they're so quick. I had this blue in like a peaches and cream, I believe it's called. I got 2 out of the blue, and I had a second ball with me of the green. So I got 2 out of the blue, so I got plus this half and this half, and I do believe out of the green I should be able to get 2 out of that. That's my no-brainer knitting. As far as spinning goes, I have been spinning on my e-spinner, not a lot. Getting ready to go up north, packing, preparation, grocery shopping. It's an entirely different type of grocery shopping than you do for your everyday weekly grocery shopping. So I didn't get much else done last week in preparation for being up north. So that's about it for the knitting and the spinning. In the woods, this section will be about, actually I planned on leaving this to John. Throw in interviews here or discussions, or him telling us how he's building something or another. He has a couple of things going right now. He's working on a windmill. That took a back burner for a little while. I'm not sure if it was because Christmas came up or the first one that he built wasn't just right and he had to buy a few more components to remake it. He said he is going to get back into that. I do have a few photos of the first one. I may be able to throw them in here. As I said, with editing and everything, it's still so new to me that I'm learning as I go. This is quite a technological feat to produce, edit, and get a podcast up. Who would have thunk it? You would think you could just turn on a camera and talk and it would be great. Not so much. And my last segment will be the wish list. And I think I'm going to use this for things that I've found, either on the internet, surfing, shopping, even shopping for Alaska, anything new I've found or we've gotten into. I've only found one thing. And I have a modified horizontal Swift. And what I mean by modified is I had John mount it vertically so that I can clamp it to the table. Much easier to wind skeins, rewind skeins, stuff like that, vertically for me than it is horizontally. I can just stick my finger in there and go like this and spin away. The problem with re-skeening from cones or skeening from cones in order to dye is that you have to count. If you lose count, you have more or less yardage, or you have to recount, do it all over again, or you have to have peace and quiet in the house, no Angus's running around, no John talking to you over your shoulder or trying to mess up your count by saying other numbers than what you're really on. So I found this online. It's from the Oregon Woodworker, and it looks like their shop is www.yarnswifts.com. The owner his name is Peter Charles. He specializes in handcrafted yarn swifts and other yarn supplies. I found this on there. It is an electronic Swift and Count conversion kit. He sells horizontal swifts, I believe, that he hand makes. They're nice, but I already have a Swift. I just needed a counter. This looks like it would be the perfect fit for me. So for $27.95, I believe it was, let's see, I wrote it down here, $27.95 I got a counter. This counter is an electronic counter that has a sensor attached. So you attach part of it. Let's see, I'll get it out of the bag here. I haven't had it all out. I don't want to mess anything up. It's an electronic counter, as you can see right here. It mounts, you mount it someplace that you can obviously still see it. It has a magnet that mounts, say, on the arm of the Swift. So every time the magnet passes, it's 1 revolution. I have my Swift set at 2 yard skeins. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there you go. John's going to install this for me. He said he'll do it this week, which generally means next week, but that's okay. And it included in it is the electronic counter with a plastic strap to mount it and a couple of spacers, the magnet, even a drill bit to mount it, and there's instructions that come with it. Again, for $27.95, I thought it was great. It's not a clicker counter, it's an electronic counter. So hopefully we'll have less errors or recounts. I did try a meter, yarn meter, and either I'm not tensioning it properly or something's going on that I still wasn't getting good counts and accuracy. I feel that this is going to give me the accuracy I need. Anything else in notes for now is that John made my made my warping board. It is now proudly mounted to the wall in my hallway. Can't wait to give it a try. I'll toss in a picture or so here if I can, and hopefully once I get some yarn on it I can take a few photos of that too. It's 36 by 36. So it is a full yard from point A to point B, and there are at least 6 or 8 pegs going down. I'm not sure exactly, I don't remember. So I can get some really good long, I hope. Self-striping is going to be really new to me. I've researched many different ways and many different types of warping boards that people are using. This one just seemed to make the most sense to me right now. Again, it can be modified, or because of my handyman John, he can always make me another one if this one doesn't work out that well for me. I want to give a thank you to a few of you who have reviewed the first episode of my podcast. Mary Beth 143. I can't remember if all of these names are from Plurk. You can find me as Lori U on Plurk Twitter and Ravelry. But Mary Beth 143, Swede Dutch, Beardy Knits, and Tina, T-E-N-A. I'll give a thumbs up to the first episode and kind of like a pat on the back or pat on the shoulder, keep up the good work. You know, the first one wasn't that bad. Kagi TM, which a lot of you may know from the High Fiber Diet podcast and Ravelry group. She's my person. If any of you watched Grey's Anatomy, you know, Christina was Meredith's person and vice versa. Carrie or Kagi is mine. We are each other's. We call each other in tears. We call each other in happiness. Y'all probably know that her hubby is home from the sandbox. And so I haven't heard that much from her lately. She's pretty preoccupied with him. I don't blame her. Or I don't blame him. He's a great guy, the Sarge. And I look forward to running over that way to the other side of the state and paying a visit soon. So, as I've said before, I'm Lori U on Plurk, Ravelry, and Twitter. Lori Green on Facebook. And I also have a North Cabin Fiber Crafts page on Facebook. Jump over there and like it. I don't think I'm up to 50 likes yet, but, you know, gotta start somewhere. The podcast can be found on my blog, which is northcabinfibercrafts.blogspot.com. I have embedded it there. I also have put it on on YouTube.